On January 8, 1935, in a tiny two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley was born. He came into the world as one of twin brothers, but his twin, Jesse Garon Presley, was stillborn. From the very beginning, Elvis lived with the shadow of loss, and the love and protection of his parents, Vernon and Gladys Presley, meant everything. The Presleys lived in poverty, often moving from one modest home to another. But within that hardship, a young boy grew up surrounded by the sounds of gospel hymns at church, the blues of the Mississippi Delta, and the raw energy of country music on the radio. As a child, Elvis was quiet, shy, and often kept to himself. But when he sang at school talent shows, teachers and classmates noticed something different. In 1948, when Elvis was 13, the Presley family moved to Memphis, Tennessee. The city would become his true home, the place where he would discover his destiny, his mother. Sam Phillips, the studio owner, didn't think much at first, but he kept Elvis in mind. Then in the summer of 1954, everything changed. While fooling around in the studio, Elvis began singing "That's All Right." What came out was unlike anything anyone had ever heard. Rock and roll had arrived. By 1956, Elvis Presley was a national sensation. His first RCA single, Heartbreak Hotel, shot to #1. His debut album topped the charts. But it wasn't just the music. It was the look, the moves, the charisma. Elvis's hip-shaking performances sent teenagers into hysteria and alarmed parents who saw him as dangerous. On TV, censors even filmed him only from the waist up. The controversy only fueled his fame. Elvis was no longer just a rising star. He was the king of rock and roll. In 1958, at the height of his career, Elvis was drafted into the U.S. Army. Unlike many celebrities, he served as a regular soldier in Germany. During this time, tragedy struck. His beloved mother Gladys passed away in 1958. Her death shattered him, leaving a void that never healed. When Elvis returned in 1960, he turned his focus to Hollywood. Over the next decade, he starred in more than 30 films. Most were light musicals, filled with romance and catchy songs. Though the films were financially successful, critics dismissed them as repetitive. Elvis longed for something more, a chance to prove himself again on stage. Comeback Special showed him raw, powerful, and electrifying. Dressed in black leather, he sang with passion and fire. It was one of the greatest performances of his career. Elvis was back. In the 1970s, Elvis dominated the stage once again. His Las Vegas residencies drew massive crowds. He reinvented himself with glittering jumpsuits and grand shows. In 1973, his Aloha from Hawaii concert was broadcast live via satellite, reaching over 1 billion viewers, a global milestone. But behind the spectacle, Elvis was struggling. The pressures of fame, failed relationships, and relentless touring weighed heavily. He increasingly relied on prescription drugs to cope. By the mid-70s, his health deteriorated. He was often tired, bloated, and fragile. Fans who saw him in concert remember glimpses of brilliance and painful decline. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley was found unresponsive in the bathroom of Graceland. At just 42 years old, the king was gone. The official cause was heart failure, compounded by years of prescription drug abuse. The world was left in shock. Poor boy in Mississippi to the most famous entertainer in the world, he reshaped popular music and culture forever. Even decades later, his voice and influence live on. Every year, thousands gather at Graceland to honor him. Elvis may have left the building, but the king lives on,